Next question is from Kirsteen Sullivan.
Thank you, Chair. Sarah, you've already touched upon the improved working relationships between the UK and Scottish governments. Specifically with regard to the industrial strategy, do you have a sense that the two governments have been working effectively together? And if you think there is room for improvement, what steps do you think could be taken to improve coordination to make sure that there's more joined up thinking?
Yeah. I think has the engagement quite been enough? I think probably not yet. Would be our view. But we've done a lot of work actually. It was great to see Dame Nancy Rothwell coming up to Scotland and engaging with stakeholders about a month ago or so. We worked very closely with the Department for Business and Trade to arrange roundtables for Scottish stakeholders to make sure that Scottish expertise and sectoral expertise was informing the strategy. So we've been very, very proactive with DBT, with DESNES and right across the piece. But we might have expected, I think, a bit more engagement with the Council. And we're a little concerned about the lack of knowledge and interest in the Scottish economy on the Council. So I think and I don't know if you're going to, come on to ask about this, but I think, taking the views of Scottish stakeholders without clear representation on the Council is potentially a gap, but there is perhaps an opportunity, I think, with a number of advisory council members, coming to the end of the tenure or stepping down, as there's an opportunity perhaps to address that gap. But I think having at least one member who's drawn from the Scottish economy and how the Council interacts with key non-governmental organisations. I think there's been good cooperation and collaboration between officials, as I understand it. However, I think there's more to be done in terms of engaging beyond that with industry and with non-governmental organisations like our own, for example, because Scotland has an industrial council. It's had one for nearly 100 years.
Thanks, Sarah. Dave?
Yeah, again, I concur with that, and I guess I'll hold back, expecting that you might ask us about the role and the remit and the membership of the council itself. I think there's some kind of green shoots. I'm hopeful that the reconvening of the Scottish Business Growth Group can be a positive thing. I think people probably know what that is, but it's essentially joint ministerially chaired in Scotland by the Secretary of State for Scotland and a senior, I think it's Kate Forbes at the moment, but a senior Scottish Government minister. That's positive. I went to the launch of GB Energy and its kind of skills plan and was really pleased to see that the Scottish the geography of Scottish skills organisations seem pretty well embedded in that and have been from the start. So these are good shoots. So back to my jigsaw. It'd be nice to connect them together. But you would expect me to say this. There needs to be an expansion in the depth and the breadth of that, and I'll jump ahead. I would personally favour direct Scottish industry representation on the group, because I think that, back to my point about, I think everyone's point about the understanding of the geography of devolution and how it applies to industrial development is just a very, very, very difficult subject. Yeah. I've been trying to do it for 20 years and I'm still pretty confused.
Yeah. Could I maybe just add to that briefly? We totally understand that it's really difficult. You cannot have a representative of every nation and region and every sector. But we are concerned that the Council is currently constituted will not understand the Scottish economy and the interactions, as you say, between reserved and devolved. But for example, the Industrial Strategy Advisory Council took an early interest in the review of electricity market arrangements. And it was not clear to us that the Council understood the potential for zonal pricing to deter investment in Scotland. It actually, there was not a grasp of the impact that that was having on the offshore floating wind sector. So I think we would advocate for at least one member of the Industrial Strategy Council and of the expert groups that are going to be convened around the growth-driving sectors needs to be drawn from the Scottish economy, supported by a mechanism that links to business, academia, trade unions, local government and third sector organisations based in Scotland. And only the Scottish Council for Development and Industry has that breadth and depth of membership.
Thank you. You've given such a comprehensive answer that you have answered my next question. so thank you very much. Yes, just a quick supplementary. I think what was coming out to me through your comments, both your comments there, was perhaps a need to identify and recognise the enablers that underpin successful delivery across the sectors. Would you agree with that? And what do you think those enablers could be? Yeah,
very much so. I think I probably covered off what we feel those enablers are. It's about that sort of business-friendly environment, the ability to have a kind of long-term view and get a bit of certainty around government policy. We'll come on to it in place, but actually there are aspects of wider policy around zonal pricing and so on that has completely sent the wrong signals to certain sectors of the market. I've lost my train of thought there. Remind me of the question, because there was another thing I wanted to say.
If I could just say, the thing that really sparked that thought in me was when you mentioned housing.
Yes.
So if there's, and I think as we've seen in some of our energy inquiry, there needs to be housing to support the workforce, particularly in areas of growth. So, housing could be viewed perhaps as an enabler, a devolved enabler. But I wonder if there were other things that you think underpin the success across these areas?
Yeah, so actually this government, ahead of the election, there was a review done by Ian Anderson about government-business relationships, and it very helpfully sets out kind of 5 principles. And I think those principles are very solid principles and a good basis for government-industry collaboration. I work for an organisation that fundamentally believes that it takes all of us to build a successful economy, and that it's only by government, business, academia, places, communities and wider society, our workers. That's why STUC are in our MEMS and memorandum and articles. To date, we were set up in the 1930s, but so much of what marked our industrial decline then is still a challenge for Scotland. So I think that it genuinely takes all of us, and it's only by working together and working well and having very clear principles underpinning that can we ensure that the country is successful and grows.
And I guess the other big enabler, again, we're going to end up saying that most of the enablers are devolved, and the others is obviously transport and transport infrastructure. Whether we're talking about getting ferries right, and getting ferries right is most importantly about island communities, but it's not just about that. It's about island economies too. Whether it's some of the, we would say, relatively positive moves that we've seen with respect to rail in Scotland and the ending of peak fares, various other things. These things are all enablers, particularly if wherever we go next, we're likely to be talking about a more mobile workforce than it currently is. Then that, again, it's back to it's back really to that foundational economy, but that transport housing piece, which is partly important economically, and it's partly important in terms of just bringing people with us and enabling people to feel more optimistic about the transitions that they're currently being asked to make.
Thank you.